hype video. I recorded this once already, but then there was a lawnmower going on outside, like a really loud jet engine quality lawnmower. And so I'm just going to re-record the whole thing and make life easier for all of you, including your earlobes. All right, so I wanted to show you, I don't know, your boy Zach calls it a hype video where he just talks about the book. It's such a weird thing having a YouTube channel, because most of the time you make a video on some salacious news tidbit, and right now in comics there certainly are an awful lot of them right now. But you make a video on said topic, people click because they're interested in the newsworthiness of it, or the gossip, or the so on and so on, and then they stick around and back your comic because you know that you just get eyeballs on your comic. That's how it works. But every once in a while you got to do a video where you're just talking about the comic making process. And so I thought this would be interesting to many of you. FATL, like I've said before, is my next book. It's coming up with Charlie Snogans. He's such a fantastic artist, and I've been really getting into the creation process here with the book. Downcast is totally finished. It's out of my hands. It's in the printer's hands, and we're just waiting. I'm waiting on them to get me the books so I can fulfill the campaign. So in the meantime, I'm just gearing up for FATL, which is the next book, and we'll launch this as soon as I get the other books shipped out to backers. It'll probably happen, one and then the other, really soon, one after the other. So normally I do a writing process that's more full script. I've had probably 3 or 4 or 5 times working with different artists that I tried to sort of set up a collaborative sort of creation process where it's not a full script, but I'm technically writing a script in full script, but we get together before the script is finished and we start working through some ideas, and it's more of a partnership, and that usually just doesn't work out super well. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it's me, but I've been really lucky and pleased to see that with Charlie and I, things have been working quite well with this collaborative process. And so the scripting method that we're doing is the Marvel method, which was coined by Stan Lee. It's a method that presumably he made up, and that is basically art first, script second, which seems super backward, but you're not actually missing out on the important part of the scripting process, I guess, ahead of time, which is the plot. You have some kind of outline. So the way that we went through this collaboration is that Charlie and I got together, we worked through an outline for a story. He actually came to me with an action sequence of these 5 or 6 pages, and they just looked cool. They told a story in a very physical way of this guy fighting these aliens, and it was great. He had some names of characters, but we sat down together, we figured out a ton. We figured out all backstory information, we figured out characters, we figured out the catalyst of the story, these kinds of things. We worked through it like a true collaboration. From there, we put together an outline, and he started drawing pages that continued on from his action sequence. So specifically, I asked him to do some pages at the beginning so we can set up the story, and he did those. I didn't give him specific panel layouts or even what ought to be in the panels. He drew them how he felt they told a story best, and he really set the mood for the story. So I gave him very little information ahead of time as far as what should be in the page specifically, just that I wanted basically a moody opening, and it sort of set the tone for the challenges that lied ahead for Flynn, our main character. All right, so from there, he gave us, for example, this page, which is one you'll see on the campaign page for sure. He's got this one fully colored, and we even have, like, the next page here is a totally rough, very rough sketch that sort of goes through some panels. And then we have into the action sequence that he actually drew. So it works well. So from that process, I'm going to pull up my script here. I have a script, and The funny thing is that it's kind of like this is how I would work anyway. When I'm putting together a lettering script, I would go through with my original script and the finished art pages and go through and make sure that the faces and the expression that's happening in each of the panels really works with what the dialogue is saying. And a lot of the time, I'm tweaking little things or changing words. Um, and so in this case, it's different because the script didn't exist, like word for word exactly what the characters are saying. So I actually went through and added words. I knew conceptually what I wanted, but I went ahead and actually added some speaking. Now in this process, okay, so for me personally as a writer, I can't just plan out like, hey, I want to do a story that has these kinds of emotional themes, or these are the themes. There's an emotional hook that's going to be this. I'm going to have, this kinds of conflict that should show up, the internal struggle versus the external struggle, which are both important to storytelling. I know they need to be there, but I don't generally have those all planned out ahead of time. And that's because as you start writing the script, at least for me, once you start having characters interact with each other, you start to learn a little bit about their relationship. It really is like you're sort of uncovering something. I think of digging up dinosaur bones where they're slowly brushing away to find the form underneath. Feels like the story already exists, and what we're doing is just sort of finding those relationships. Maybe a kooky way of viewing it, but that's really the way that it feels. So I sort of go through it and find the story, find how they interact with each other, and then through that you start to learn, hey, there is this internal struggle that's going on. This is going to be one of my big major themes in the story, and so I am, allowed to imply some things that go on and sort of go through the story like that. I don't want to show you too much of the art. We'll just do it like that so we don't give away too much. And so that's sort of my process. It works through it. So another thing I was thinking about is I really wanted to pay homage to some older books. I get it that there are a lot of comic book fans who've been unhappy with modern comics. There are a lot of things that I really like about modern comics versus older comics as far as writing goes and storytelling goes. But like there's some just great things that you can't get anywhere else. And so what I did is I gave myself permission as a writer and a challenge to write this in more of an older comic book style. And so there's sort of a noir feel. It really is kind of a fairy tale, though that might be pretty deeply buried for many of you as you read it, but keep that in mind when you do read it. And then it's definitely sci-fi as well. But I tried to write the dialogue, and I'm trying to approach it like you would an older comic, like pretending like I'm writing for Marvel in the 70s, perhaps, and we're writing the dialogue so it sort of looks and feels like that a little bit. Obviously, there's a lot of me in the writing, and so it's going to be my own take on it. From there, building up, again, like the character conflicts and all that. So we get through the story. I've got the script. I send it over to Charlie. Charlie will give me notes, and you'll notice on the script right at the top, it says written by Clint Stoker and Charlie Snogans. And that's because really I think in this kind of process, because it's so collaborative as far as the plot goes and the story itself, we really are co-writers of this story, which I told you I would never do. But when you find something that works, you got to go with it. So yeah, super fun, great project. You'll notice a lot of the pages that aren't drawn. Maybe you can see this. We just have little notes, and they're just short descriptions of what would be accomplished on each page. It's up to Charlie. It's his job to figure out how he's going to accomplish that visually on the page. And then I'm going to go back afterward and start adding in and just basically emphasizing where there is conflict and sort of tying the plot that we've already talked about into the story, and hopefully making it make a lot of sense and making it a more immersive experience that you can really get into and live in this world. Super fun. So appreciate it if you have made it this far through the video. Uh, I really appreciate you. I really enjoy being able to make comics, and the only reason that I can do this as a comic book writer in the year 2020, white straight male comic book writer breaking into comics, it's because of fans like you that give me a shot. This has opened so many doors for me. The fact that I was able to publish Downcast with funding that was provided from all of my backers, that is what drew Charlie's attention. I hasn't really said this, but I'm not stupid. It made him willing to give me a shot to work with him, and so to be able to do a book at this caliber, it really is. It's a huge blessing that my backers, you all, have given me. Also, the fact that we did this, that helped me get a deal with Alterna Comics, and I'm sort of spreading out my reach and finding new fans, and I'm able to get my books out there even further. There are other opportunities that I have, building my own publishing company out a little bit more. All these things, they're great opportunities. When I boil it all down, though, at the heart of it, I'm a comic book creator. Specifically, I'm a writer. I'd love to draw my own book someday, but that is what I want to be doing, is actually the creative process of making a book. And so, the YouTube, the publishing, all that other stuff, that can be really fun. I enjoy it most of the time. So sometimes there are headaches every once in a while, but ultimately that is to be able to feed the ability of making a book and getting the book into your hands, getting more books out there into the world. That's, I don't know, it's just such a joy. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. I would strongly suggest joining the mailing list or joining the pre-launch page. It's all the same. It's just to let you know when the campaign has launched, but I will be giving something special to those people who sign up and who back early, because we just want to make sure that this thing is a success. And the best way to make it a success is to make it a success early. It really does make a big difference. So that's the goal. So sign up. That really helps. It supports us. And if you want to see books like this made at this professional level by indie comics creators who are in touch with and beholden to the fans that make this possible, then I think this is the perfect project to support. So thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow again with another video, and let me know if you want to know any writing process videos like this. If that's helpful, I appreciate it. I would like to talk a little bit more about the creation process. It's fun. Obviously, I'll still have those the same kinds of newsy videos that you like and come here to watch in the first place. But every once in a while, we just got to talk about making comics. So appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video.